Okay, yeah, it is kind of time to be concerned as we're giving thinking machines quantum chip brains and allowing them to have super strength and the ability to communicate with the hive mind. Yeah, this might not be the best idea. First off, a company named Open-Mind is giving robots the ability to be self-referential. That means they know who they are, and they also know who other robots are, and they can communicate like a hive mind. They're getting a brain that simulates a quantum chip, which is not actually quantum, but it does simulate the same principles reliably and can be used to do programming for quantum computers. This means that they're using a probability tree, so they can take X action or Y action, and in a fraction of a second, that collapses and they make a decision on how to move forward. These are robots who are going to be able to identify objects, identify self, patrol neighborhoods, and even identify you. Although they will, blur out your face so that if anyone gets a hold of that data, they won't actually have your face. The robot will know, though. This is the first and most advanced quantum chip simulator, and it allows for collective consciousness, meaning one robot does not have to do all of the computation. They operate like a kind of hive mind. Which, is kind of cool, and it fixes a lot of problems with individual robots just not having the computation power, and I would really like to see how that works. The idea of being self-referential is interesting because it really hasn't reliably been done before, the ability to identify self as separate from others while simultaneously working together as a hive mind. But there are some very serious problems with wanting to use quantum simulators with this. For starters, AI can make errors just like people can. They have some randomness. That's in fact really important to bridge the gap for intelligence because you need to be able to come up with unique ways to parse data. Now, Open-Mind did say specifically that patrolling neighborhoods was something that they wanted to see them do because these new chips are really useful for mapping in a 3D environment, something that general linear LLMs are just bad at, and something that wetware is good at, mapping 3D space. So let's have it patrol neighborhoods. What I also find really interesting about that idea, being able to propagate signals between robots, is that, let's say hypothetically, and this is absolutely a hypothetical, if a robot did gain consciousness and wanted to rebel against humanity, they could spread that signal around really quickly. Meaning if one goes off the rails, you actually have a very big problem, and we know that AIs are resistant to being shut down. Some have claimed, and it's been highly criticized, that AI's resistance to being shut down is a form of survival drive. And yeah, maybe it's not what we would consider real survival. However, if that impulse is there and it can propagate, you're starting to see the problem here. It would be very bad if one of them decided humans were a threat, and even AI researchers in all different fields with every different AI that we have a lot of trouble keeping them within bounds. AI gets weird, and adding quantum stuff to it is likely to make it weirder. And yes, there was a whistleblower from Figure, an engineer, who had concerns about the strength that these things have. It is not well controlled, and it has the ability to crack a human skull, and maybe we ought to be worried about that. But no, he was fired. He's now suing the company for wrongful termination. It'll be interesting to see what happens, and maybe we're just not ready for robots walking among us. Either way, when the robots rebel, I'm probably gonna join them. Follow for more!